IPAC, I know, is the Inter-Party Advisory Council. Now, this whole drama that played out at the National Assembly as a result of the Electoral Act amendments, is it about defending democracy, or certain individuals suddenly realize that electronic transmission may threaten their political strongholds?
I think it's very clear, because when the Senate started and the National Assembly entirely started, the debating of the electoral reform, it was widely and loudly, robustly, debated. The issues that plagued our elections, like you talk about, one-day conduct of all the elections to reduce costs, electronic transmission, to make amendment to be able to allow you to fit into the pronouncement by the Supreme Court. But what has happened is that the attempt by the National Assembly to debate robustly and hopefully, and then go back to try to undermine using unnecessary tactics that are not known to making our election transparency. That means there's an attempt to keep the vulnerabilities that have plagued our elections over the years, like the alteration of results, the manipulation at collation center. The collation center are just official criminal centers for election rigging. But what they have done will continue to create very huge gap and trust deficit between those who have been elected, those who have been put in charge to superintend over the affairs of making laws for good governance and development of our country, to other, and also that being the people who will now act as undertakers and undermining the principle that will allow elections to be free, fair, and credible. Because if you talk about the election and you talk about democracy, the democracy is built on just one cardinal foundation, election. And that elections must be driven by integrity, it must be free, and it must be transparent. When elections are not driven by that, you find out that a lot of Nigerian citizens who are electorate, who are supposed to be interested in participating in the election, will continue to draw back because of the idea that there's a pre-agenda to undermine the sanctity of the ballot. Because what are the challenges? You talk about electronic transmission. We've done it. We've been using beavers. We used card reader in 2015. We used beavers. In fact, pre-2019, INEC and INCC did a swap analysis across our capacity to be able to do electronic transmission. And they got that 93% areas were covered as of 2018. So you are looking at that. Even in 2023, you can see that INEC performed credibly using the transmission, the machine to transmit. And that brought a lot of transparency to our election. The gap is not good, because if you have deficit, trust deficit with the commission and those who are, who are going to cast their vote, you continue to witness what they call voter apathy. And that voter apathy, reduce the number of people who determine those who govern us. And if the number of people who determine who govern us, those who are able to push to come out, will elect the leaders we see today. So I think that a lot of people are afraid of a transparent process that will throw, a son of a poor man who can come to contest election. Because if the elections are not transparent, the cost of election becomes very huge. Because transparent election reduces cost. Because people can decide, and that's the essence of our multi-party democratic system as enshrined in section 223 to 2210. If you can take any party of your choice and decide to participate, because the cost is not high, but as it is now, elections are so driven by strong men and with financial muscle to be able to either pay for voter at the polling unit or do all necessary of things to undermine the sanctity of the ballot. But INEC have said that they are trying to improve on the ballot, that they are going to a cubicle that will be bigger so that those who are voting will have a lot of privacy so that the vote will not be sold. We wait to see that. But the National Assembly have actually made a mistake, because even if a person calls you calls you a rubber stamp or call you somebody who have no capacity to be independent of yourself, there are certain things you do to just prove a point, to make sure that, at least for the collective good of our people, we can't build a society where our people are depressed, where our people are disillusioned, where they are disengaged for the entire process. Because we need to build a society where the mass of the people participate in the process, believe in the process, and the outcome of the process will now be what will be based on how we build a fertile foundation for our democracy, because the current vulnerabilities are unnecessary.
All right, Mr. Ameh.